first baby, and with the support of her husband and family, Felicia gathered her courage and underwent a repeated round of in vitro fertilization. She found herself pregnant once again, this time with twins. Unfortunately, her happiness was short-lived. Faced with the imminent threat of cervical incompetence, she opted to undergo a procedure to increase her odds of carrying her babies to term. But this did not happen. Tragedy soon struck, and she found herself stricken with grief once more. Lost and Found is a book telling the story of her journey to parenthood, her anguish at the heart-wrenching loss of her babies, and how she eventually found peace and hope. Good morning, Felicia. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, morning.
Now, Felicia, this is your second book. Your first, To Baby with Love, was about your marriage, your pregnancy, and your first miscarriage. Why did you see it as important to write about these experiences?
I think every mother would agree that if you have a newborn, you would want to document every steps of the journey, the growing stages. So for my case, I had a miscarriage. What is there to document? But you still want something to hold in your hands for a memory. So a book comes in handy.
I understand that your husband encouraged you to write this second book. What were his reasons?
He wanted me to seek a closure, because with the book you finish writing, you close it. It seems like a closure for me, and to move on as well.
Has it helped you?
I would think it has along the way, yeah, of course.
What was the process like, though? It's like you are reliving that painful experience all over again. Did that take a toll on you?
Yeah, obviously. A lot of time I was crying behind the computer screen, asking myself, why am I doing this? But along the way, I realized after all the crying, you moved on. After every page that you return, you say, this is a past history. You moved on. Along the way, you ask yourself, you have done this. Why have you not done it better? Improve it and try to move ahead again.
There's a picture of the ultrasound of your baby and babies as well in the book. And you did write at one stage that just looking at that picture made you feel extremely sad. I wonder what it takes really to then say, you know what, I've lost this and I really want to move on. What is that inner strength that you found? How did you find it?
Along the way, obviously, you look at the photographs and you're asking yourself, why are you doing this? But after you got so many comments or positive feedbacks from people telling you not to give up, to move on, then you find that strength. Even you yourself may not have it with all your friends, all the people commenting. I'm telling myself, it's time to move on.
What can other people learn from this? You talk about the writing of the book as being a closure for you, but what about your readers?
For them, it's obviously things to avoid, if you can avoid, and obviously not to take things for granted, because it might not happen naturally, but obviously there are steps and measures to help you to improve on it. Along the way, you learned, and of course, still, if you didn't succeed, at least you give a shot.
You talk about some of the medical procedures, some of the side effects, things that may not be suitable for every couple or every mother-to-be. So I think couples can learn from that. Why was it so hard for you to get pregnant and carry a baby to term successfully? What was the condition you had?
Actually, I think for most couples who probably seek some doctors' consultations, they will probably tell you at the end of the day there wasn't really a real root cause. So that the issue wasn't really found between me or my husband. It just didn't happen. So obviously we tried medications, we tried with IUI along the way, then we move on to IVF, and that's how I conceived. Along the way, everything happens naturally and it seems to work well. But suddenly, you know, one day the water bag just burst and things happen. Then you realize, oh, you can't carry your baby to full term.
Why do you want a baby so desperately?
I wouldn't say desperately, but I do love kids, and I believe that a baby can complete the family.
Have you ever considered adoption, considering that you've been through two very difficult episodes already in regard to pregnancy?
Yeah, that's what a lot of friends are asking me as well, but I would still say adoption is not the time yet. I'm not saying a definite no, but probably not yet.
Why not?
Still trying.
Why not?
The reason because obviously the bondage between a natural bond and adoption's children would definitely be different. Of course, certain characters, personalities that you see in your own family is just unique to your family. and obviously adopted children would be different.
So you're still looking to conceive your own child then?
That's right, yes.
After 2 episodes, you want to try again.
Yeah, that's right.
That says a lot.
Fantastic.
Tell us about your first miscarriage. You named your first child as well, Dominic.
That's right.
What exactly happened there?
I was just having my dinner, so the water bag just burst. I was rushed to A&E and I realized the water bag burst, and obviously I was dilated for 2 to 3 cm. The baby's foot was actually stuck out of the water bag, therefore making it unable to heal it naturally.
Were you near term already? Were you?
No, I was just coming to 6 months.
Oh,
6
wow.
months. The baby was delivered anyway?
Yes, that's right.
How long did he survive?
Minutes, just minutes.
You held him throughout.
Of course, yes, that's right.
You talk about how you were trying to remember if you had held him, because you read somewhere that it's so important to have that physical contact with
That's
the
right.
baby.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to hold him all the way to the end.
What toll did this take on your husband?
Obviously, he being the quiet guy, he's obviously quiet about it. So for the first miscarriage, he didn't say much. So, but he was with me all this while, thankfully. So he took a week of leave to stay company for me.
Did you consider perhaps not trying again after your first miscarriage?
After the first miscarriage, we are more eager to find out on the solutions rather. So when we thought we had the solution, then the next step obviously is try again.
Now you went through IVF and IUI. Can you talk us through the process?
Okay, the main difference between the two is obviously the end process. What happens is both actually you still take injections every day. So thereafter, the end process is that one, they will retrieve your follicles when it's ready, and obviously for the IVF, once you have the follicle, they will fertilize it together, and you have your embryo to implant into you back. But for IUI, what they will do is once your follicles is ready, instead they will insert the sperms back into you and hope that you conceive
Right.
and fertilize.
That's intrauterine, right?
IUI, that's right.
Right. Okay. You see, the thing is, there's so many abbreviations and so many acronyms associated with the whole process. I just wonder, how confused were you?
Thankfully,
there
I would
are
say,
stitches, there's TVC, TAC, IUI, IVF, and lots more that you talk about in the book as well.
that's right.
So how confusing can it get for a mother-to-be or a father-to-be as well?
It can be very overwhelming, but thankfully for my gynae, he did guided us step by steps. So through the process, he introduced one term at a time and to tell us what is what. Obviously, with the internet, everything can be searched online to know more. Yeah.
You do say that it is so important for couples to have information that is reliable and relevant, because it can get so overwhelming. So if you're listening and you have issues with fertility but you want a baby, this might be a good book to get started on as well. You can hear about all the mechanics and the technical terms involved too. What happened the second time round, Felicia?
The second time round, it was a twin. So to play safe, we actually had the stitch. Hopefully that the cervix won't dilate earlier. But however,
What is the stitch for?
is to hold the cervix, hopefully that it doesn't dilate early.
Okay.
Yep.
So there are several types of stitches as well,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Okay.
Yep. So along the way, then we realized that the stitch torn and I bleed. So knowing that, obviously, I was rushed to A&E again.
Elvis and Louis,
That's
these
right.
were your twins.
That's right.
They were delivered as well and
That's right.
survived for a while.
Yeah, also for brief minutes.
How many months into the pregnancy?
That was coming to 5 months.
5 months. Did this have a different impact on you? Did you deal with it?
Obviously.
You know, how different was this experience?
The pain was
from
double,
Dominic?
obviously, with 2 kids. Then you're asking yourself, what have you done? Why in 2 years you have 2 miscarriages? So the question is obviously to find out what is really the root cause. But in our hospital today, sometimes it's really hard to pinpoint the root cause because it already happens and things has already gone through. So you might not still find the root cause.
Did you ever, at any time, begin to blame yourself for any of this happening?
Obviously, from the first miscarriage.
But you knew. I mean, you did your best, right?
That's right. But still, being human, you still self-blame. So you ask yourself, what's wrong? Why did it happen to you? But
Was
along
there
the
something
way,
you didn't do right?
That's right. Along the way, you just find peace, lah. And thankfully, for my case, I seek God, lah.
Stay with us on 938 Live. We'll continue speaking with Felicia Tan. She's the author of Lost and Found. It's about her journey to parenthood, her anguish at the heart-wrenching loss of her babies, and how she eventually found peace and hope. We'll be talking more about what Felicia plans to do next when we come back on The Breakfast Club. Stay with us.
938 Live gets you talking.
To the famous
Doors.
938 Live gets you talking. 938 Live gets you talking with The Breakfast Club.
Now, there are many among us who want children, in spite of the fact that on paper it looks like Singapore's fertility rate is definitely low. One of them is Felicia Tan. Now, undeterred by the loss of her first baby and with the support of her husband and family, Felicia gathered the courage and underwent a repeated round of in vitro fertilization. She found herself pregnant again, this time with twins, but even that did not work out. Now she's talked about it in a new book called Lost and Found, her journey to parenthood, her anguish at the heart-wrenching loss of her babies, and how she eventually found peace and hope. Now, Felicia, just when your second cycle failed, your sister told you she was pregnant. How did that make you feel, that you had been trying for so long without success, and here she was, pregnant?
Obviously, I had mixed feelings, both happy and sad. Obviously, I asked, why is it so difficult for me? But on the other hand, I'm definitely happy for her because it makes it so much easier for her. And obviously, I hope all the best for her.
Are you close to her baby?
Yes, of course. I actually visited her baby every week.
Oh, very nice. How do you feel about couples who can have babies but just don't want to, especially in our context?
I believe everything's have their own options, own choices. Obviously, some people think that it's too big a commitment. Obviously, that they think they couldn't handle it and they don't want to go through it. I mean, it's fine. At the end of the day, we have a choice.
Now, what you've gone through is obviously not only been a physical strain, but a very deep and emotional strain as well. How have you been able to overcome this entire process?
For all the things that happen, every time you ask what happened, why it happens to me, but at the end of the day, I think we don't have any answers for everything. So the question is, instead of asking why not find solutions and be more positive about it? And for my case is, I happen to write a book, so I can tell people something bad has happened, but good things will come.
Your book also contains useful information for other couples looking to conceive who might be facing difficulties doing so. What would you say every couple needs to know about fertility issues and the processes involved?
I think the most simpler way is obviously to have a health check, because along the way we all thought it would just happen naturally, but when it didn't happen, probably 1 or 2 years would have already been passed. So instead of you trying naturally first, why not just do a health check, and you will give you some highlights on what there is any issues or not, and you can decide your path thereafter.
How many more times do you think you will try to have a baby? You said you want to try one more time at least?
I definitely don't have an answer to that, yeah.
What would determine the choice though?
It all depends on how the process is. So that's why I can't really tell right now.
Do you still have a room in your house ready for your baby's arrival?
Yes, of course.
What does it look like?
It was originally painted in just light purple. So we had it reshuffle with some furniture just to be ready for it.
All right, so light purple, neutral colors.
Yeah, that's right.
Completely neutral. Now, the book also contains stories of other mothers who have been through challenging pregnancies. Tell us about one story that particularly struck a chord with you.
It will definitely be the first story, Christine, because she also had a miscarriage, similar times with me. And thereafter, when I had my twins, likewise, she had her twins as well. In fact, she did deliver her twins and is happy now with her twins. So I think there is a lot of similarity. But then again, the issues that we had was obviously different.
Let me just ask you this, because I know of some people who remarked when they saw your book that it sounds irresponsible to want to try again after 2 failed pregnancies, when there are so many kids out there who are looking for good homes, who can be adopted. What do you have to say to that? I know earlier you said you would prefer to have your own child because of issues of bonding, so on and so forth. But what do you have to say to people who might think this is quite irresponsible to be trying again, only to maybe bring a child into the world halfway, so to speak?
I wouldn't say it's irresponsible or irresponsible, because along the way you still have to answer to your own health. Anything can go wrong in a pregnancy. In fact, I have heard incidents whereby people passing away as well because of that. So the question is to be true to yourself and to be responsible to your own health, because at the end of the day you are the one who is suffering, not others. So if you are doing that already, I think that should answer everything.
What about the baby?
Yeah.
The baby, obviously, we are sad about it, but the question is, have we did our best? I think we did. So the question is, probably he or she is just not fitted to be with us.
You have said that you want to try again, so what is the timeline going to be like?
I have seen doctors, and doctors are telling me to lose some weight. So this time round, I'm trying to lose some weight, try to get even a better shape before I start trying again next year.
Why is the weight loss important?
Obviously, we done some blood tests. They said that I may be slightly overweight, and of course there is this another term called impact glucose tolerance. So obviously it might hinders the pregnancies as well, or so therefore it's ideally to lose some weight.
So next year, you said?
Yeah, that's right.
Now, age also complicates matters, right?
That's right.
You're in your mid-30s now. So to what extent would it be complicated further in a year from now because of the age factor?
For next year, obviously, I'll be turning 36. So there I am becoming a high-risk mother if I am. But the question is, we are asking ourselves is, should we try and not give up, or should we regret later? Because once you pass your fertility age, obviously there's no way to try even if you want to. So why should I give up now?
Yeah. Well, my cousin gave birth at 42.
Okay,
So-
that's good news.
In fact, we had one of our bosses, our previous bosses, our ex-bosses,
Yeah.
gave birth very close to her 40s and even
Absolutely.
after her 40s.
Absolutely.
And she did so with no problems.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that there is some hope yet, and all the best to you, Felicia. Thank you for joining us today. Felicia Tan is the author of Lost and Found, Her Journey to Parenthood, where she talks about her miscarriages and how she found hope and peace in spite of it to want to try again next year. Good luck, Felicia. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
938 Live. 938 Live.